Okay.
Okay. Should we start off, Angela?
You do it.
1, 2, 3. Happy birthday.
I was doing a different song.
No.
birthday
Slide it back out.
Wait, which one?
Well, we all was on different pages.
Which one are we doing?
The regular one or the black one?
Do the black one.
Which one would you like, Brie? The black one?
I like the black one. It's your birthday. We gon' party like it's your birthday.
We're gonna sip a
Party
Bacardi
like it's your birthday. And even we don't give a fuck, it was your birthday. This is where Dre comes in shirtless with my cake.
DeAndre?
Wow. That's all we
We
get?
want to see shirtless.
Biceps. Abs. Where are they?
6-pack.
I requested a shirt off cake entrance. All we got was an arm for
Right.
those who are listening.
He failed us.
Wow. But okay,
Anyway,
I turned 30, guys.
happy birthday from us to you.
Wow. Are these
Oh my gosh.
They got
All
me.
right.
Okay. Woo.
All right.
Who's gonna bring our spoons?
Are we really
The
about
same
to eat this?
hand?
Like on camera?
I mean, okay, maybe we should wait.
Y'all gonna see
looks
chocolate
tasty.
It's not gonna look nice.
Thanks, guys, for the birthday
birthday, Bree Bree.
wishes. Thanks. Ooh. Well, what's up, guys? Welcome back to For the Girls, brought to you by Relationship Restored. Today, we are talking about heartbreak and specifically how to get over it because we all go through it. It sucks, but it happens.
Yeah.
So what advice do we have for our heartbroken people out there?
Be a savage. No, I'm just joking.
That was the worst piece of advice.
I'm joking, guys. Jokey jokes. Don't start with me, because
I mean, sometimes that works.
I was about to say,
I mean,
you know,
that's
it just,
sometimes.
I mean,
I
just
think
be safe while you're doing
no,
that.
absolutely. Be a safe savage.
Be a safe
Safe-ish savage. No, I
Wrap
mean,
it up.
you know what? It's funny though, because I thought that when I was like in my 20s, that being a savage would protect me from heartbreak, and
It only
did
made
not.
it worse. Did it make
not.
it worse?
No, I mean, I don't think it made it worse. I think heartbreak is hard enough.
Yeah.
Like regardless of how you're trying to protect yourself. Because I think that a lot of times when we try to protect ourselves, a lot of times it's a facade.
Yeah.
Right. So you know who you truly are. Like I always knew, like deep down, I'm a sensitive thug. I was trying to be a savage to protect myself from heartbreak, but when I was in a relationship with, I can't even say we were in a relationship, but we were in a situationship with this
Which is a
dude
relationship.
it was a relationship. It just we didn't have the official title. With this dude that I was really feeling, and it went left. I was almost kind of upset with myself that I allowed that to happen to me because I was trying to protect myself from it. But also, I'm really glad that it did happen to me because if it didn't, I wouldn't be the woman that I am now to be able to be the wife that I am now to my husband.
Yeah.
Right? So, but as far as me, like what I did to get over it,
You can be real. Let them know.
yeah, I mean, no, I'm gonna be real. I don't think I've ever not been. Initially, what I did was obviously block. Like this nigga's never gonna be able to find me again,
Lord.
unless he has some secret page or his homies or he's looking from his homies page. So I think the first thing is to end all communication with that individual. That's what I did because I knew that if I was still communicating with him and I was still in his space, that my feelings were gonna bubble right back up because I was really feeling this dude, even though he did me dirty. And so I just ended all communication with him. Like, I can't say abruptly because I should have ended it a long time ago before I actually did it. But I ended it when I felt like the time was needed.
And I when I get to my spiel, I actually really think that is a smart move. And
Yeah.
some people would disagree, but if you really want to get over a broken heart, you can't be in the space where the heart is broken.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
No, absolutely.
You know, you can say, oh, well, we're friends. We're going to talk. We're going to do this. You know, outside of co-parenting, you know, what other reason
then do you have to even be around this individual anymore?
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was going to say, I think that's
point.
a great piece of advice personally, just based off my experiences. Continuing communication allows them to still have that line.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very important first step.
Yeah.
It leaves like the door open for hope too.
Yeah.
Like,
it does.
ooh, if he says the right thing, maybe, you know, we'll be back in the same
maybe
situation.
He's changing. Maybe I'll change him or whatever. Like, no, girl.
Cut it off.
Cut it off.
Yeah.
I think that goes hand in hand too with the first thing I was going to mention, which is like being okay with being hurt. Like, it's totally okay and it's normal and it's human. Like, yes, you're supposed to cry. You're supposed to be in your feelings.
I think it's hard for people to admit that. Like, especially if, like, it kind of goes hand in hand with rejection. Like, there's, in some cases, some people are heartbroken and they're not the ones who got rejected. But it goes hand in hand with rejected. It's rejection. It's very hard to accept that you've been rejected. I don't care if you're a millionaire, if you're the most sexiest person alive. When you get rejected, it is really a strike to your ego. And then on top of that, you're mixing that with the feelings of grief because now you're missing someone.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, and I'll be honest, I did this as well, is I tried to act like, man, fuck that shit.
Yeah.
It don't hurt.
Yeah.
That shit hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you guys think it's quicker to admit that it hurts and deal with the heartbreak, or does it matter?
I mean, I definitely think that the quicker you can admit to yourself that you are hurting, that you are grieving, and why, you know, you're hurting, and just kind of have that intimate time with yourself to kind of come to the realization of, how did you even get to this space where you allowed this individual to hurt you so deep? And how are you going to do that? And what are you going to do so that doesn't happen to you again? Like, that's all part of grief.
And I think a lot of times the reason why people struggle with breakups so much is because they always focus on the other person instead of looking internally and being like, okay, well, look, if it's over, let me figure out what lessons I can learn from this. And like Cece said, how can I make sure this never happens to me again? Because most times when you're going through heartbreak, the man did something to hurt you. And whether it's cheating, whether it's calling you out your name, whether it's not wanting the same thing, physical, emotional abuse, manipulation, people around you telling you this person isn't good for you. In order to leave something, you have to forgive the situation. And that's hard to do while grieving and while being upset. So I think that there's a couple levels to like getting through heartbreak. There's the grief for sure. There's the anger. Like, there's going to be a moment where you are just pissed and like, you might not do things that are logically smart. Like, I know I've done things like busted windows, you know, some other things I won't mention. It gets a little worse than that.
Don't incriminate yourself.
But out of anger and what got me upset after that was how I allowed myself to get that mad. And I'm like, now this man thinks he done got such a hold on me that I was in a position to get so low. Like, that's how hurt I was. And I had to forgive myself and be like, you know what? I am only feeling this way and I've only done those things because I genuinely loved and cared for this person and I feel betrayed. So getting through the motions of being like, there's nothing that I could have did right or wrong that makes me deserve what this person did to me. So it's like getting through all of that. I think we talked in previous episodes about how to work on yourself and in your singleness, like really understand your worth and like realizing what you can fix to attract better. Because most times we're dealing with shitty men because we're attracting shitty men.
Shit. I can tell you how much. The one that I would say, there were two in my time before my husband that broke my heart, and both of them motherfuckers were shit. Both. Okay, now they were fine, but they wasn't shit. but I think also, so for me, like after I got through that grief stage, right, from the sadness to the anger to the self-reflection, I think after that, what helped me a lot in getting out of this funk that I was in was, okay, you know what? How can I better myself? One thing about me is that if I ever see a motherfucker out again, he's gonna see me doing well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I'm gonna be looking fine as hell. I'm gonna be paid up. Like I'm gonna make sure that I'm always doing well for myself.
This is step 2.
This is step 2.
Step 2,
1.
level up.
Cut off all communication.
Right, all communication.
Step 2,
level that ass up. I mean, and I think it's really important for us women to have something that we are so passionate about that levels us up. I am a firm believer in women being independent. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't like to receive gifts from men. I don't like men to court me and do all those things. However, I'm always going to have my own.
Yeah.
And I think that when you go through some type of heartbreak, there's no better revenge.
It's motivation.
Okay?
Yes.
And success.
Yeah.
And getting up and getting out and doing something for yourself.
And we talked about this in what is it, the body image episode. When you look good, you feel good. Like, and I'm not saying like, oh, you're on your P's and Q's, you look amazing, tits are here, ass is there, stomach is in, and you step out, and that's gonna be the cure-all, because it's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
But it's one step. It's gonna make you feel better.
Yeah,
no
it's gonna make you feel
bullshit. It's
confident.
gonna make you feel better.
Especially because then, you know, now you're out and maybe you're out and networking and you're starting to put yourself in different environments where you're meeting different types of men and you're still getting the attention that maybe you were getting before.
Yeah, it's an ego
that
booster.
heartbreak. It's an ego boost. And also it's like a check for you, like, oh shit, I still got it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's always something. I don't care who you are. Human beings love to feel wanted.
And I think it also helps you become more self-aware of the situation. It helps put you into a place. And I'll just go specifically into when I was heartbroken. I felt like you could feel like nothing, you know? And if you go out and you feel better and you get the attention and you get people coming to you, trying to talk to you, give you compliments, yeah, it might not necessarily fix the wound or whatever is there that broke your heart, but it can bring you to a place where you're more self-aware. Like, okay, this is why we broke up, but I'm not nothing. Like, I can get back
have
to
other
being,
options.
yes, I can get back to where I want to be.
Yeah.
But just, I think another important part, especially for someone who is heartbroken right now, is to give yourself grace and understand that being heartbroken looks different for everybody.
Yes.
And that it's a process. It's a wound healing, and wounds don't heal quickly, and wounds heal at different times, different lengths of time. So give yourself that grace and understand that you have to heal. You have to heal. You're not going to step out looking amazing and be okay the next day. And you're not going to sleep with 15 men and feel better the next day.
No, girl, do not recommend that, okay? Do not recommend that, okay? Let me caveat that.
And I think it's also important to know that there is a good possibility there's going to be a scar there afterwards, but it'll be healed. It will be healed.
it's
I was
important to
going to say
heal yourself.
too, when you're in a relationship, most time there's two things that kind of happen. You usually, especially if your man is not like a leader in like the spiritual realm, like he's not praying over you, you're not going to church, you're not doing X, Y, and Z, your spirituality usually falls off a little bit because you're giving so much time and attention to this
him.
person.
Yep.
But then also, as we mentioned, like look-wise, like health and wellness, like you probably ain't been in the gym like you could be. You probably ain't been eating right. You probably been boo loving and going on dates and doing X, Y, and Z. So I always tell people too, like you have to make yourself feel better. And the best way to do that is to get back in touch with your spirituality and really remind yourself of who you are and like what you deserve. And
your worth.
So for me, when I had a really bad breakup, that's when I got close to God, because I was like, why do I keep putting myself in these same situations? Because when I looked back, and this always helps me get through heartbreak too, because I'm like, how many other times have I felt like this? And I was okay after, and I found the next guy. So I was like, just get over this quicker, so we can get on to the next guy, because it's going to keep happening until you find the one anyways. So let's just make this a little smoother of a transition, cut the losses. But the thing that really helped me was getting back into who I am and who God wants me to be, or what I could do to be a better version of me. And that took me stepping back and not dating, not having sex, completely cutting myself off from people. So instead of worrying about, ooh, I want him to see me with somebody, I was like, no, I don't want him to see me with anybody, because I'm going to focus on me. And after you commit to that for a little bit of time, it took me like 2 weeks to really be like, oh, this feels good. Like, I like this. I might have went to sleep and cried a little bit one night because I saw, something on social or whatever, like, oh, he don't care. Yeah. But, roll over, have that little prayer, and I'm like, it's cool. It's good. It's fine.
Absolutely. I mean, it's super important, to both of you all's point, to heal prior to even thinking about jumping into another relationship. Like, to your point, Bree, I also took time to get closer to God and find my spirituality, because I did lose it. Like, when I was dating these other two dudes that broke my heart, we were in the streets heavy, both of us together. Like, we were always in clubs, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then like 4-day parties on Sunday, so it's like, so there was no time for God. Like, so I lost that. So going back and finding my spirituality helped me to level up, helped me to get back focused. And when I met Shane, I was celibate. Like, I had been celibate for many months prior to meeting Shane. I was focused on my business. I was focused on finance. I was focused on learning new skills. So like, even though like I was still out and, being a little social butterfly, I was still very much so internally guarding myself and focusing on building my relationship, not only with God, but rebuilding my relationship with myself again. Because I had lost myself, especially when, depending on the type of man that you are dating that is hurting you. You could be in a very toxic environment, not only with him, but whatever social environment you're around. So I lost myself deeply. I was putting up with so much shit that I would never even allow myself to put up with. I've always prided myself on being a very strong, very confident woman and not tolerating anything less than what I deserve and what I feel like I'm worth. But in those two situations, I let all that shit go out the window.
I think we all, as women, go through that. We all have at least that one relationship, if not multiples, of just realizing, like, what was I thinking? And then it's even harder when you've done it multiple times. Like, I remember when I had the situation with my ex, and I was like, looking at my ex-boyfriends, and I'm like, girl, you ain't learned nothing. Like, it didn't get better. Like, it did not get better. You are picking from the same team. Yes. This team sucks.
The same
They are losing every season, and you're still picking from that bench. Like, what are you doing? You obviously have to do something different. If they say that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same result and still doing it. And I really remember, as because I was like, 21, 22, maybe 23, when I was going through the breakup, and I really asked myself, I was like, ma'am, I looked at my goals that I wrote at 19, and I said I wanted to be married with kids at 27. I was married. I do not have kids. And I like it that way right now, because I have 2 beautiful god babies. They're just the cutest things.
Honey,
but
yes, wait.
I looked at that list, and I was like, wow, I'm supposed to be married with children in a few years. Like, oh, baby, we are far from there. And I was like, what am I doing? I'm not a teenager. I'm not in high school. You need to get it together. Like, you don't present yourself like a woman. So that's why you're dating these little boys, because it's all you can get. And I remember when I wrote the list of what I wanted in a potential husband, and I was far from being deserving of what was on that list. But I will say, every day, every week, every month, I was becoming a better version of myself. And that, falling in love with yourself, that will get rid of any heartbreak.
Oh, honey, yes.
Any heartbreak.
And then also, I think not falling in love with yourself, and then finding a healthy, maybe even finding a healthy distraction.
I was going to say, that's exactly what I was about to say. Immerse yourself into a project, into something that really just takes your brain off of it.
Even your friends, because sometimes and I mean, I don't think any of us are like this, but some people get in relationships and they aren't as available to their friends in a way where, they miss you. And it's like, oh, you back out on the streets. We can see you and have time. Okay. So like immerse yourself in your family and into your friendships, into the people who, instead of spending time with them,
the next time around, which
guy.
I was about to say as an example, going from, and I've mentioned before, I haven't had many relationships. Like I had some long-term ones. And then I met my husband. But with the last breakup, I realized I was alienating my family and my friends. And I really dived into that. And I think a lot of it was I was depressed or embarrassed about the situation that I was in. So, I really did take the time to connect with them and explain it and be vulnerable with them and be upfront with, hey, this is why I went MIA for so many years. And I wasn't as connected, and I don't want to be like that anymore. I remember having that conversation with several people. And then making sure you do the things. I mean, of course, whenever you get into a relationship, your time has to go to that person. So you're not going to be able to spend as much time with your friends or your family when you are in a relationship. However, I made it a point with Sean to make sure that he was connected to my friends, my family, especially my parents. My parents did not like my ex. So that was so important to me. And I made that clear to him when I met him. And he understood the assignment. So I saw that.
You over here dripping and drooling?
Dripping and drooling. What are we drinking?
So these are some cocktails that the birthday girl curated for us.
They're really good.
Okay,
too.
they are really good. So this is like
tequila and lime.
I was into my thought and I saw.
So do you
Missed
guys
my mouth.
think that this is maybe this kind of like goes back to like our red flags episode? Do you guys think that men who try to take you away, or I guess, what are your thoughts of men who try to take a woman away?
Oh, you already know we have a specific situation.
Her friends and family, like what are you guys' thoughts on that? And what would be your advice to women who may be in a situation that with a man?
So the really hard thing with that is you can't pull them out of it.
No,
they have
trust
to do
me.
it.
We've
I know.
I've
heard
experienced it.
Yeah.
I think the issue is this. There's really only two scenarios it could be. We all know this. You can look it up on Google. One of the traits of a narcissist and a manipulator is that they will get you as far as possible from family and friends. Like they will try to give and make you spend all your time with them. So it is a red flag for sure. It's not healthy at all. But I think there's two situations here. Either the guy is blatantly being manipulative and is knowing that he wants to have control over you. He wants to know what you're doing at all times. He doesn't trust your family or your friends, which makes no sense, but that's what people who are manipulative and are narcissists do. So it could be very intentional. On the other hand, it could also be that person is struggling with their own trust issues, and it's the only way that they know how to cope, and they really do care about you. They just don't understand that is not a healthy way to go about a relationship. They think that they're protecting the relationship when in reality they're sabotaging it. But you would have to, as a woman, know which one they're doing, and if it's the later, then you would be able to have a conversation and find a way to build trust and move through that relationship in a way to fix that. If it's the first, they will not budge and it's not going to change and they're just going to get harder on it. And you have to just leave. It's not going to change. It's not going to get better. That is not a trait of somebody who cares for you. Like, you can't have family and friends. That's wild.
So how
do you get out of it?
No, I wouldn't even say that. I was going to say, how would you be a supportive friend to someone that you see as in a relationship like that?
And that's hard because we tried, and I think we did all the things that you're supposed to do. Like we would create very safe spaces for girl time that wouldn't conflict or be an issue for the man. So we would go somewhere where there's no other men. It would just be like girl time, like at someone's home, or like something that's very secluded and intimate where we're just coming over for a few drinks with the girls. And even that wasn't allowed. Or dinner in a public place wasn't allowed. Like, so I think the best thing you could possibly do is try to build a relationship with the man so that you maybe gain the trust. but we tried that as well. I think some people, you're just not going to change.
You can't do that with a narcissist. Y'all.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't want you.
There's really but only so many things you can do in that scenario, personally, in my opinion. Like, what can you do? Your friend's in love with this person, and this person wants them.
Yeah, I think you have to remind them, remind the girl of how amazing and awesome they are, and that, this isn't healthy. And I think showing facts helped a lot. Like, open up the girls that we've dealt with this, open up their mind to being like, oh, shoot, maybe these aren't my friends just saying their opinions. This is like legit science and psychology that is backing up what they're saying. Right. So, I started pulling documents and articles and books and documentaries, and I'm like, look at all these things. All these people ended up killing somebody. I was building a case against this man.
Present the facts, Your Honor.
There's no getting out of this. It was a lot. It was. How did we even get on this topic?
No, sorry.
We went left. We were talking about alienating friends.
Yeah.
When you get out of a heartbreak, lean on your friends.
Oh, yes.
I do want to bring this up, though, because sometimes you are heartbroken, but you're the one who left the person. Not because they cheated or the relationship just wasn't working.
Yeah.
That's a completely different scenario, because you are literally...
Yes.
You are heartbroken, and you're the one who made the decision to leave.
Yeah.
You got to stick to your guns.
I was in a situation like that, too, where this dude was so in love with me. Of course. No, I'm just joking. So anyway, obviously. No, but he was so in love with me, and he wanted to get married and have kids and do all of that. But I knew he was not it for me. Like, I knew because at first he was hilarious. He was funny. We were having a good time. But as our relationship started to, go throughout the months, I was like, could I see myself with this man long term? He lacked ambition. He always talked about what he wanted to do, but he never put any action to it. Like, for me, I can't be with nobody like that, especially not no man.
Yeah.
So I just knew immediately, I knew after a while that he wasn't the one for me. And so I tried to break it off with him, and it was tough, and he was not receptive to it. He was, very physically heartbroken. Oh. And so because I saw how sad he was, I was like, you know what? Okay, let's try to make it work. Even though I did not want to.
That was wrong.
That was the wrong decision. I did not want to make it work. But because I felt bad.
Yeah.
I felt bad for him. I was like, okay, maybe we can make it work. If you can prove that you can step up in XYZ ways, we can probably make it work. And he didn't step up in XYZ ways because that just wasn't in him.
Yeah.
Right? So we went another 6 months of me being miserable.
Yeah.
I was miserable in this, right? But I did all this just so that he, to try and make him feel better. But at the same time, I was making myself feel worse. So my heart was breaking for myself even more, right? So I think that there's a lot of people that might be in situations like that, where they know that they're not with the person that they're supposed to be with, but they're only staying with them out of convenience because they don't want to hurt their feelings or whatever the reason.
Or they're scared that they can't find someone better, so they're settling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or they're settling.
They love the person so much that they're heartbroken, that they know they have to leave them.
Yeah.
Because it's just... the stars aren't aligning. They don't have X, Y, and Z. But I love you so very much. I've stayed with you so long and wasted so many years of my life, and it's not going to work. But I have to let you go. And it breaks their heart. Like, that's a whole process too.
Yeah.
That's a whole process. And I say that because my sister went through that. Like, she was with somebody for 10 years, engaged and everything.
10 years.
10 years. She loved him so much.
Damn.
He just couldn't do X, Y, and Z. And X, Y, and Z were the things.
Yeah.
The things she needed.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to air it out because this is her story. But it was really basic what she needed.
Yeah.
And he couldn't provide it after 10 years. Her heart was broken. She was crying every morning. I want you so bad, but it's not going to work. Sorry, y'all. I was crying so bad. Sorry, I'm making too many noise. She was crying so bad, it wasn't going to work. She had to write a letter she couldn't do it. And she was so heartbroken, depressed. But she made the decision for her. Like, I put it out there and my mom was telling her to make it work. Like, very old school mentality. You've been together so long. They love each other. Da, 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 da. Like, no, we're in a new fucking generation. If it's not serving us, we're out.
I'm out.
Yes. It doesn't negate the fact that she's going to have heartbreak. And she did.
Yeah.
And took her a while. I mean, I'm not saying she's not heartbroken still, but she's healed.
Yeah.
She's done the journey, you know? So,
so I had a situation like that. My ex who was murdered, Walt, when we were dating, we dated through, I was in high school when I started dating him through college. And in college, I started to realize, like, man, you know, this is a street boy that I tried to get out of the streets. He was doing a really good job. He got pulled back in the moment that I lived in a different state. When I moved back to the same state and he moved with me, I saw that he was like lying and like living a different lifestyle. And I'm like, And I loved and cared for him so much. He was genuinely my best friend. And I was like, if you can't stop the drug stuff, I can't. Like, I have been getting in so much trouble.
That's a
I like
great
got
example.
caught with stuff in my car. Like, I was like always associated with some BS, and it was because I cared about him so much, and I knew that he was only in this situation because he really didn't have many options. Like, it was a lot that was going on in his life.
That's heartbreaking.
And
like,
very heartbreaking.
Only so much you could
but
do.
this is what was different
Especially
about
because
it.
you loved him so much, you wanted better for him.
He wanted better for me too. And so when we decided to just be friends, it was very like, it was very romantic in a sense, because he was like, you deserve so much better, and like maybe one day I can be that guy, and X, Y, and Z. And after that, we were very close friends. Like, we still talked all the time. We weren't like being physically intimate or anything, because he had a little boo on the side that I kind of found out about and all of that. But it was very hard to basically be breaking up with somebody while you're still around them, still talking to them, still love and care for them so much. And then he was murdered. And so it was like, that was a whole different type of loss and grief, because every time I would go to pick up the phone to call him and remembering, like, I can't, like, that's crazy. And even for people who are in relationships, like with you, your sister, he wasn't killed, but I'm sure there's times where naturally she went to go call him, lean on him, want to spend time with him. And it's just, it's not going to work out.
That's why I went back when you said rule one. We said rule one, cut off communication.
Yeah.
That was why it took her so long to
She continued communication.
I mean, they had a dog.
They had a dog, right?
And
they were
co-parenting
co-parenting a dog.
I mean, the dog's been dragged through the
let's not get into that. But regardless, that made it made it worse for him.
Yeah,
because he still had hope.
Yeah,
she was moving on. You know that, and it was just messy, and it was a lot. And that's why I was like, April, you got to figure out how to get out of it.
Yeah.
Like, you have to figure out how to stop talking to him. She was using his mom's car. Like, it was a mess. Like, you got to figure it out. And eventually the stars worked it out. So now they don't communicate at all, which is awesome, because we all knew that was not the space for her, you know? And so, and I just bring that up because that's a completely opposite example of heartbreak compared to, you know, when I got cheated on, or he just didn't want to be with me and he left me. And you are literally leaving this person heartbroken. That's tough too.
I have another scenario, because I just spoke with someone yesterday who was asking me for advice on this, and I was like, whew, this is hard. So what about when you're in a relationship with someone 5 to 10 years, it's been like a good amount of time, and you thought you guys were on the same page. You're expecting a proposal soon. The next step is marriage and family and all of that. And you like bring it up, and his response is not on the same page as yours. Whereas, you know, when you've been together that long, you should be on the same page. So even though he's not breaking up with you, he's in a sense not saying anything, which is telling you everything.
Yeah.
That's difficult because sometimes the man doesn't have the heart to say that he doesn't want the same things when he maybe said those things earlier and all his time is going on and he likes what you're doing, but doesn't want to take that next step.
hard.
So then imagine leaving someone just because they want something different than you. Like maybe he wants to be with you, but he just doesn't want to get married.
Yeah.
And you
So-
want to be married. Like that's a whole other type of breakup and heartbreak.
It is. And you have to be very, very clear on what you want.
And constantly
yourself.
check in.
the
Constantly
beginning.
communication is so important when you're with someone. Do you guys want the same things? Are you guys in alignment with each other? Are you guys equally yoked with each other? If you're not, this might not be it for you.
Yeah.
And years shouldn't go by where you guys aren't talking about future plans. So
Me and
I
Shane talked about future plans within the first 2 months.
Honey, I told Sean after meeting him and doing all the things we did
in the
first few weeks, I was like, look, if I'm not your girlfriend by a couple months, we can go ahead and skedaddle. And he hated that.
I said the same thing to Shane. Look,
I mean, I'm not saying he didn't want me to be his girlfriend.
Yeah.
But he said he remembered that specifically
I
quite
said
a bit.
The same thing to Shane, girl. When Shane and I first got together, Shane and I are very honest with each other. And we've told each other every single thing, and so when we first got together, he told me about how him and his ex were together for like 5 or 6 years, and never were engaged or anything like that. And I told him up front, I was like, "Oh,
That won't
so
be me.
I'm gonna let you know right now, I'm not rocking. If we're together for 3 years, and by 3 years we're not
That's a situationship.
engaged or
That's a
married, and
strong
3 years. I mean, me and Shane got engaged within a year. You know what I'm saying? So like,
wow, that's crazy. It was that.
it was
Oh my
fast.
God.
It was intentional.
It was very
intentional.
from the jump, especially like for my ladies who are now into their 30s, in their mid 30s or older. You got to be dating intentionally. Like we're
Yeah.
not in our 20s anymore. Like ain't no, like we don't have time just to be like lollygagging, especially if you know what you want.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, like I mean, my
completely agree.
advice. I'm sure.
I feel like we've said that 5
so
or
many
6 times.
I'm
throughout.
sure you gave sis some really good advice, but like, my advice to my girl who asked you this is, honey, you might have to go through this heartbreak for yourself in order
If
to
you want to be
find the man
married,
that-
that's if this is something you want.
Because if you
need to
change
do
what you
that.
want, then you're just gonna get in a space
You're
where
gonna
you
be really
are-
upset about it.
What is the word?
Resentful.
Yes, where you are resenting your
Yeah.
person.
yes, and you don't want that.
You don't
Trust
want
me.
that.
No,
Because
resentment's not
because
fun.
then you're gonna end up in heartbreak in a different manner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
Relationships are hard. So don't,
let's cheers to
yeah.
heartbreaks and getting over them to get to the love that we all deserve.
And I
and
want
to a happy 30th birthday to Brianna Aponte.
Yeah. Can I say something real quick though? I just want to tell, because I know we're like, oh, heartbreak, you got to do this, you got to do that. I just want to like really say to anybody who is going through heartbreak, the shit sucks. And I'm sorry, it's going to suck for a while. Like, we don't want to make you feel like it's not supposed to suck. You know what I'm
And that
saying?
you have to get over it
We're
in
just
a
trying
quick
to
amount of
yes,
time.
it's
Take your
different for
time.
everybody.
Yeah.
It sucks. There's really nothing that can make it go away.
Yeah.
There's things you can do to make it better.
Yeah.
Time
You
heals
can
all.
manage symptoms,
Yeah.
but time heals all wounds.
Yeah.
Well, then let's cheers to
that's
time.
I wanted to end it that.
Cheers to time.
Cheers to time.
Well, we did it again.
Well, you know what? At least it was at the end.
Clean up on aisle 4. The cleaning crew here sucks. Hello.
Hello.
We still didn't get our spoons for our cake.
I know.
What's going on, man?
Anywho, wrap us up, Brit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Follow us on all the things.
I figured that it would have been cut and we were done. Thanks for tuning in to For the Girls podcast on YouTube. Make sure to follow us at Relationship Restored, where you can get in touch with all of us. Comment, like, subscribe, and tell us what you want us to talk about. Now we're done.